Good morning, everybody. Uneducated Economist here. Got an article I want to share with you guys. Link is down in the description. Talking about the interest rate hiking coming out of New Zealand. And now this is a really interesting story because they were about ready. I haven't been tracking New Zealand as much as just trying to follow with anything that's going on out there. I haven't really been paying attention to New Zealand. I knew that they were planning on doing an interest rate hike. And when I came across this article, I thought to myself, what in the world is going on in New Zealand? Now, they have put out there the credible threats. Now, this is something that I have talked about quite a bit. And this is the main tool coming from the Federal Reserve. A lot of people say it's interest rate manipulation, money printing, stuff like that. That's not their main tool. Their main tool is the words that they use, putting out there to the markets the perception of what it is that they feel the markets need to know about in order to condition them to behave in a way that they feel is appropriate for monetary policy. I don't know how else to describe it, but they're basically putting a carrot out there for you to follow. And that's the main tool of the Federal Reserve, credible threats, and that they will raise interest rates into the future, so you better start behaving in a way that is going to have interest rates going up in the future. Oh, we're going to hold inflation extra heavy for extra longs to make sure that it, rises above the 2% average, so we have a long-term average inflation rate. Everything that they say is their monetary policy, not necessarily the actions that they do. A lot of people want to look at their actions. That's not where it's at. It's in their words, in their job owning, in their forward guidance. That's the monetary policy. And now New Zealand was all set up. They are doing the exact same thing. They had conditioned the markets all the way up until this very point to say, hey, we are going to raise rates here come tomorrow. The day before they're going to go and announce that they're going to raise rates, a single COVID case comes up. Completely undoes the whole thing. Nope, sorry, maybe going back into lockdowns. The whole idea is reverse cancel the idea of raising interest rates. We got a COVID case here in New Zealand. One case completely reverses the course of history. Almost seems to me that they were looking for a reason not to raise rates. If it all hinged on one single case, how fragile is that system? I could not believe it when I was reading that article. Now, this is something that I feel is going to take place throughout a lot of the central banking systems throughout the world. As they go to raise their interest rates, some sort of event may take place that could reverse that course of action. But until then, they will keep pushing the idea that they will raise rates, just to keep the markets in that focus, to say, okay, well, they're going to have the interest rates rising here, in 3 months. They will start focusing in on changing their portfolios to adapt to this idea that there's going to be an interest rate hike coming in 3 months. And then when 3 months come, they say, we may actually have to postpone it for another month. Stuff like that could happen. But they are going to, at some point, cut back on the bond purchases. I'm talking about the Federal Reserve. They will at some point cut back on the bond purchases, whether it's mortgage-backed securities or treasuries or something, just to make sure that they can establish that credible threat, to make sure that the markets are convinced that they will continue with this policy. Whether they do it or not, or reverse course, who knows what will take place. But the establishment of the credible threat must take place in order for it to be credible, in order for it to work. And New Zealand had it working right up until the point that they got that one case. Completely undone the whole idea. And sorry, we're not going to raise rates now. We're going to have to postpone that whole idea because we don't know what's going to happen with this one case. Now, obviously, there's never one case. They say that in the article, that there's going to be more cases coming up because you can't have just one. But still, I cannot believe that this is what the monetary policy of New Zealand had come down to, as far as reversing the entire idea of what it is that they were going to do. I mean, think about everybody's portfolios, all the retirement funds, all the money managers, everybody. I mean, everybody was anticipating that there was going to be an interest rate hike. And one COVID case, reversed the entire thing. Now they're sitting there going, man, now what do? We got to reestablish our ideas of what it is that a lockdown is going to look like, or, what it is that, more COVID cases could do to the economy. They got to completely change the way that it is that they had structured their portfolios, where they were going to put their money. I found that to be a very interesting article. Love to get your opinions on it. Uneducated Economist, you guys let me know.